This is Wycombe Sound.
So, Rob, for people that weren't watching the pub quiz or listening to it this week, penultimate pub quiz, but we also had quite a nice email as well.
So this came in just before the show tonight, which was, it's always nice to get correspondence. In the old days, you used to get like a mailbag with letters in, and of course you don't get that anymore.
No.
And so we got this email which came in from Shona at just after 7 o'clock this evening, just before the show. It says, "Hi Rob, just thought I should get in touch as this might be the last pub quiz that you do. My friends and I and my husband have been getting together via WhatsApp every Wednesday night since the very beginning to take part. We called ourselves the Grizzly Bears, but we've never submitted our answers and we're not that good, so we didn't want to end up being made to look idiots, or so we end up chatting a little bit too much. You've really cheered us up during the lockdown and furlough times, and we've really enjoyed the last 3 months. Highlights for us include my goddaughter Natalie's birthday in April, counting my cat's toes."
That was a highlight.
It was a highlight, yeah.
It was.
And my husband trying to count my teeth, still getting it wrong. Please read this out and give a shout to the team just before you start the quiz, as they will probably all shut up by then. P.S. Please mention Sophie, who is Natalie's sister, sometimes joins us in from Canada.
Nice.
Thanks again to Rob and the whole of the Wycombe Sound team for the amazing job you do. Wasn't that a nice email?
It's lovely, isn't it? So that was very nice. That was just before the quiz. And then right at the beginning of the quiz, some very exciting news.
Yeah, absolutely. And this again doesn't really happen very often. And I think we were talking about this. I think we might be one of the only radio stations during lockdown that this has happened. But one of the teams that plays quite regularly was not playing last week for some reason. They're called Quizzy McQuizface, and I think they've played pretty much every single week since the very beginning. Yeah. Anyway, we got this message tonight saying we're back, and the reason they weren't playing last week. And to be fair, I think it's a reasonable excuse. Was that it's a family. The wife was having a baby.
Nice.
She had a baby, and the baby was born at 20 to 10 last Wednesday night. So it was just before we did the answers on the pub quiz. And here's the thing. And in the message they said they were still playing along with the pub quiz until she had the baby, which would, I mean, the poor woman was clearly in labour having this baby whilst playing the. I mean, that's dedication for you, isn't it?
I mean, it
really is dedication. And then this week they're back again. So it was lovely actually. So we have a lockdown quiz baby, which I'm
hoping it's Rob.
Yeah, I think Robert is a lovely name.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Timeless, Luke. Timeless.
Or Wipeout.
But yeah,
it was true in the answers for Wipeout.
Absolutely.
Just call it Wipeout. Yeah.
But no, it's been a great show tonight. And it's really just, I don't know what it is. I think it was the 14th show. Next week is our last one. We've got 15 shows in total. And we were saying this show has worked so well because of lockdown.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. You have a captive audience. There is radio years ago. I've been doing radio for many years, but radio years ago used to. Yeah, no. The thing about radio years ago was that you had a far more captive audience. You didn't have the social media distractions. You didn't have all the stuff that was happening on Facebook or YouTube and all of that stuff. And so people used to listen, and they used to play along with quizzes and games, and you always used to get dozens and dozens of phone calls into a radio station when you did a competition. And then, the competition's still out there. People still listen to radio, but not that many people interact with it. And when they do, they tend to interact in slightly different ways. So when we do hear, stories like, the baby being born tonight and people listening and playing and counting teeth and doing cat's toes and all that sort of stuff, it's really lovely for us. And I guess it's at times like that on the brink of the 15th show where you suddenly think, you know what, actually it's been pretty hard work doing this, and there's a lot of work goes into it. But when you hear that people actually genuinely enjoy it, it's what it's all about. And so we were really made up about that this evening. It was nice.
And it shows, people are still listening to radio as well, and how important it is in a time where no one can go anywhere. Radio is still something that people are tuning into.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think it's also true to say that that it's. I mean, we're a community radio station. Local radio is nowhere near what it was. I mean, for those of you who were born and brought up in the 70s and 80s, you'll remember local radio, and we had, Radio 210 and Chiltern Radio and all of those great radio stations in here. And luckily, things like 1170 and so on, and ultimately they all kind of become nationalised. They become, it's all brought together under one. So you only have very marginal amounts of localization with them these days. The thing about Wycombe Sound is that we aren't that. We are a community station. We have a community license. Our job is to provide a service, a local service for our community. And I think the thing about the pub quiz that we did this evening, and this isn't just true of my show, I think it's true of many of the shows on Wycombe Sound, is that we're able to talk directly to that group of people, and it's something that you don't get so often on radio. But when it happens, it's magical. It's actually the reason I got into radio in the first place, because being able to do something, get that reaction, and communicate with that one listener who's listening, and who can really get, who can get a laugh out of it, who can be entertained, who can
telling you off the French is terrible,
who can be informed, and who can tell me off for my French, is what this is all about. And as I say, tonight we had a double whammy. We had a baby from some regular players on the quiz, and we had somebody ringing up and saying, "Look, thank you. This is fantastic." So you know what? I have to say that is why we do it. That is for me. That is just why we do it, and it's something that we enjoy doing, and I think there's something true in the fact that if you really enjoy something, then the people who are on that journey with you, the people who are on that same kind of who are listening at the same time, will also enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, they won't. And we're not taking it too seriously. We're having a bit of a laugh. But genuinely, we're glad that it connected and it worked for everybody. And who knows, if we go back into lockdown, we'll do it again.
Definitely, we'll be definitely doing something, and more of visual content where people can join in and and have a laugh at Rob.
Yeah, and as long as I don't have to speak French, I think it will be absolutely fine.
No more French. No more. You've been banned actually from France. You can't enter. Sorry.
I mean, the other thing with this is that the Wycombe Sound are gracious enough to allow us to do it. Right now, the other thing here is that there are many radio stations whose formats are so restrictive. That things like the pub quiz, where you can. You can talk really. I mean, there's very little music in it. It's really kind of questions and answers and talking and having a bit of fun for 2 hours. There's many radio stations that wouldn't even entertain that because it's not their core or music policy. They want to have a very kind of similar sound every hour. And Wycombe Sound doesn't do that. Wycombe Sound actually encourages that diversity on the radio, which for me is fantastic. And one of the reasons why I absolutely think Wycombe Sound is forever getting nominated and winning awards for what they do. It's because we're different. It's because we want to be different, and we challenge that diversity. And frankly, if we'd have sat here and played non-stop music with a few jingles in it throughout the night, many people would never have tuned in to listen to that. And so I think personally it's something which is a style of radio which sadly for local radio stations is becoming less common, but I think there's still a value, and it's something which we should continue to try and enthuse in doing, and that's why not just myself, I mean obviously the pub quiz was mine, but there's many dozens of people who broadcast on Wycombe Sound who are in a fabulous luxury position to be able to have the creative freedom to do broadcasting of that style. But also, I think our listeners are very lucky as well, because actually they get the benefit from it. And there we go. That is my lecture of the night over and done with.
One more quiz left. Thank you to anyone that has joined. If you've joined for one round, half a round, if you've been there since the beginning, one left to go.
Last round.
This section of the pub quiz.
Last orders.
Last orders. All right, don't ruin the spoiler. And we'll be back next Wednesday, and of course on Saturday for his show. So thank you to everyone that's been watching and playing along over the last 15 weeks as of the last one, and we hope you've enjoyed it.